Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Crossways with me, Ian Wright and
Steph Houghton. We're back.
One and only Steph Houghton.
We're reunited on the internet,
yes,
which is fine.
Yes,
it's not the same, but we can work with it, can't we?
Still work with it. Yes, because I need you. I need to have your energy around me when I'm. I need you, Steph.
I know. We need to be back together.
Back together
soon.
Again. You okay though? Everything cool?
Yeah, good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Are you getting any practice in? Because we're doing the BMW, and that's going to be quite intense for us.
I know. I'm a bit nervous, but I do need to get on the golf course before this pro-am that we're doing with BMW.
When did you practice last?
Last year.
Wow.
I'm a fair weather golfer. My husband knows it. My family know it. So we've just got to wait for the sun to come out.
Will you be confident enough when you get on the tee to
Probably
swing it?
Not. That's where I'm hoping you come in and help.
Look, Steph, I'm just as nervous. I'm going to practice.
Now you're a manager.
No, yeah, but Steph, I was, you know what? Now you're saying that with my six-a-side team, I came home last night because we made a decision to bring a player in. We brought Troy Deeney in, and it just being as nice as I can, it just didn't work out well last night. It wasn't a great debut for him. And
I feel as though the
game.
stress is getting to you, though, of being a manager.
Yeah, when I come home, I'm thinking about stuff. And then I came back home and I had to watch Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. And I was really, really felt sorry for Ange. I just felt, I'm nowhere near where he is, but I could feel how unhappy he is.
In comparison to the baller league.
Yeah, I was so unhappy last night because I just felt a little bit let down with it. But
there's always another game round the corner.
Exactly right. So, Steph.
Yeah.
Did you watch? Obviously you did, but I'm just saying the Champions League games.
I did. Did you?
Yes, and what an eye opener for me it was in regards of Chelsea and Arsenal. We probably should start with Arsenal and Lyon.
Let's start with the first one.
So Arsenal Lyon. I thought that the kickoff time was a little bit of a nightmare because the first thing I noticed when I started watching was it wasn't absolutely rammed, which I was very surprised at.
Yeah, in comparison to like the game that you played against Real Madrid, that atmosphere that you guys created was really, really special, and it didn't really have that feel. And
I think it needed that, Steph, especially with a team that, and normally I think the highest they play in front of could be like 21,000. They're not used to that massive 50 odd thousand. So it would have been ideal if we could have put them in that situation, so as then you can put a little bit more pressure on them for them to maybe make some more mistakes and we could take advantage, but it didn't happen. Absolutely didn't happen, no.
I think watching the game, I feel as though they controlled large parts of the first half, but I'm probably being a bit too nice there. I feel as though Lyon were really dominant in that first half and potentially could have scored a few more. They kind of attacked down your left-hand side. The pace was so obvious, but I think you guys in the second half, you had enough chances. There was
my gosh.
Rousseau, then there was Manon with an absolute sitter, and you even put that in the group, and I was thinking, oh my God, she should score that. And that's the difference, isn't it?
Well, that is it. And then when you see the way they scored, even their second goal, and the first goal as well with Diani was a fantastic goal, but the second goal, oh, she's so good. The second goal and the way they opened us up, bam, 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 in, great touch, great finish. It just shows that with our team, and I know that we're supposedly the fourth best in Europe, they're saying.
Yeah.
But the fourth best to the first and second, I'd say that the gap is gargantuan with what I saw, especially with Lyon. You could see that they could probably go another couple of gears with what they were doing.
I agree. I think like even across the games, I know we'll go on to the Chelsea-Barcelona game, but I think from even like a physical point of view, you can't replace that pace that Lyon have, Diani especially. And I'm just, as a defender, that's so scary. But that was so evident in the first half that it was impossible for you guys to defend.
You know something as well? I thought with Joe Montemor, I think we ended up, when Leah Volti came on, we ended up with, and this is something that I've been talking about recently as well, Steph. It's just slowly creeping into my conversations about the fact that how far we've moved on from Joe Montemora. And we've had a couple of managers since him. And, 8 players, including, like I say, Leah Volti, played that game. So 7 of them started the game, I think. And then Leah Volti came on. And he knew so much about them. I thought that when you look at, like, I think, Kim, and it's not blaming Kim or anything, but when you look at her in the midfield with what we needed, I have to say probably Frida Marnham as well with what we needed. When you leave the pitch, and she got player of the match as well, Kim, and she had no progressive passes and no carries. And we're talking about a midfield that we need to kind of breach and get to. So that's our main player who got player of the match, and we didn't do that. And I'm thinking at some stage you've got to change it. I was thinking I thought Kyra might have came on, and the same maybe Kafaji, because what are we waiting for? Why are we waiting now with Kafaji, especially when we needed something different?
Especially at home.
Yeah, it was disappointing, and I thought that too many players had poor games.
And I think that's the difference between the Madrid game, is that the girls actually performed. All of them performed 9 out of 10 that game. Like, you couldn't fault a single person, especially at that game at the Emirates. And I think that's what Renee has gone for, is that same exact team minus Chloe Kelly, because she's been injured. So it's so hard, like, when you've seen a performance like that previously at the Emirates, to try and think of what could happen, because you're so confident in that team and that performance that's just happened.
Yeah, I felt very despondent, especially in the first half. I think it was when Frida missed that header.
Yeah,
I think she had Leslie right behind her. Whatever it was, it's the miss that you can't miss that. You simply can't miss that. Especially
Ian,
against that caliber.
Goal,
yeah. Oh gosh,
the first goal, I think.
The defending, it was Emily down this end.
Yeah,
who could see all the way down the line. She could probably see the midfielder who's probably about to play it through to Diani, and she should have been able to step up a lot quicker than that, because it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
And I think, like, them moments kind of, like, that's the difference at Champions League level. At the semi-final, like, they are things that count, and to go 1-0 down, but then to get into a position where, yes, it's a penalty. There's no doubt that it's a penalty, and it's a great pen from Caldenti. I think she's shown she's been one of your best players throughout the whole season. Yeah. But I think then they score 4 minutes later. Like, this is where you've got to manage the game. You've got to realise that you've got another 90 minutes to play. A draw wouldn't have been a bad result, because you know you can score against them. You just can't let them score. And I think you guys maybe switched off a little bit, and it was a great finish. And I think it's an exciting second leg, though. I think it's because of the one goal.
I think the reason being it being exciting, Steph, is because we're very fortunate and then unfortunate by our own means that there's only one goal in it. We should have scored. I think that on form, experience at that level maybe was lacking. But we got players who have played in big games, international games, and everything. I think that we should have at least taken 2 of those chances to go back there, because, like I say, that they looked like they had more gears to go to. I can't, once Diani went through, I wasn't confident that Zinzi was going to save it. Zinsberger was going to save it. I thought she covered her near post too. I thought she could have done a bit more to just to do something to Diani, make her try to get it in that near post. I don't think she had much. It wasn't much of an angle to try and get past the way she came out of the goal. So again, I don't want to totally blame her, but I didn't feel confident that once it went through on a 1-on-1 that she was going to save it. And how easily they scored their second goal not too long after we scored ours. That's always a scary realization when you score and you're like, yes, right, here we go, we're right in it, and then bam, and then they score, you're like, oh my gosh, we're back to where we were.
That's when you're most vulnerable, isn't it, really, when you score? I feel as though people don't realise how hard that is in them next 5 minutes just to keep getting back at your game, and you've got momentum then as well. And I think in terms of, we always keep speaking about strength and depths of squads, and Lyon, I think you look at the players like Hegerberg coming off the bench. We know how much experience she has in this level. Even you're talking about Madri, who played the pass for the second goal for Lyon. I think that is players that you're coming on that have got really quality and are able to handle them occasions. But I think second half performance, I think Arsenal can be really confident going into this next semi-final. I think they created enough. It's just whether they get the good start and get that kind of intensity that they want to play at.
I always feel that when you get a team that good and you get them at home, you have to really force the issue at home. And the chances missed, I don't think that... I don't think you miss chances like that and end up winning the game. And if they do, then I ain't got no problem eating humble pie because I'll be glad to eat it. But I just think that them at their place, they'll come at us. I thought that we need the crowd. You needed the crowd there, but the kickoff time kind of like hampered them. But like, I just feel that they just looked too comfortable. And you have to go there with those goals. I think there's players. I think Leah has to step her game up. Emily Fox's distribution when she gets into those areas have to be better. I think Katie McCabe has to enforce herself in the game more. Frida Marnham. Like I mentioned, Kim Little. There was a lot of players that there was.
You can't hide.
No, you can't, especially against that kind of team. So when you look at, like I say, I will always, Kyra, from the time I saw Kyra Cooney Cross at that World Cup over in Australia, I just thought, wow, she's amazing. I'm so pleased we got her. At some stage, she has to be given the keys to start to play.
It's crazy that she's not even involved, to be honest, because she's had a great season, hasn't she?
She has had a good season. I think she's working very, very hard. You know what I mean? You just hope that she can just remain patient. You know, this is part of the journey because once she gets in, and this is the point I was making about the amount of players that are still there from Montemuro, we have to start moving it on now and get players like her in. Those are the games, if I'm going to be totally honest, I think that she could have started in to give her the experience. And with Frida, I thought Frida was really disappointing. Really disappointing.
I think that inconsistency is being shown with a few players. I think you see them really like the top of the game and then you can't really rely on them as much in the next game. And also, I think if it was the other way around and you'd played away first, I think for me, I think there's no question that you guys would go through to the final. But the fact that your legs away, it's going to be a tough ask, but it's going to be one hell of a game if it's 2-1.
I thought they were brilliant the way they closed us out. The way they started going down, you know when to do it, Steph, in that time of the game where you start any foul, you stay down.
Yeah, you know, they just know. That's what I'm saying. Their experiences. You forget that this team has won a lot of trophies over a lot of years, and I think we all speak about Barcelona, which is rightly so. But they've quietly gone about their Champions League business in the group stages and hammering teams. Yeah. So let's see what happens.
So we have to move on to Chelsea. Steph, did you see that game? Because as disappointed as I was in Arsenal, I was really, really. I don't know how I felt with Chelsea because I could not believe that a Chelsea side, a side that's been built so well, a side that's literally wrapped the season up in January, we played so naively, especially towards the end. It was crazy.
They just didn't impose themselves on any part of the game. I didn't see any of the kind of characteristics that you would see from a general Chelsea team that we've seen over WSL Champions League games of the past. And to be honest, I thought Barcelona were absolutely class.
Fantastic.
I think you watch their movement, their technical ability, but also how they get the ball back. It's just, you can see why they are current Champions League holders.
It was good to watch, and they passed the ball with pace.
Yeah,
I thought Kira got lost in that game. They obviously know her. They know how to deal with her. Make sure that they had someone in and around her, because if then you've got someone in and around Kira, then she's going to pass backwards or sideways. So she had no real impact on the game. I thought Erin Cuthbert done a lot of work, man. Jeez, my gosh, that girl works.
You know
so
what?
hard.
I'd love to see her running stats, but I think ideally you don't want your midfielders doing that much running.
No,
but that's
you want a midfielder with that much energy, with a player that's actually getting the game and dictating it like Kira's supposed to. But then you can't look further than the fact that they were so good.
Yeah,
they were so good, and off
from
the,
that
and the
very
bench
first
as well.
5-10 minutes.
Yeah. You know, you got all that happening, like you say, the first 5-10 minutes, Steph. But then when it starts not going wrong, you've got a player like Payor up front who's so dangerous, and then you can bring on Pina. Unbelievable strength.
I mean, that's probably one of the best games I've seen a player, and I think for the second half to come on and have that much influence against someone as experienced as Lucy Bronze and Millie Bright, I think the last goal typified in terms of just that is just a Barca way of playing. That link up with Pateas, that 1-2, that pass move, and Chelsea couldn't cope with that all over the pitch. I think that was what they struggled with was, Ian, you know what they're going to do. They're not going to take more than 2 touches and they're going to pass, they're going to run forward, and at times it become too easy. But I think obviously Hannah Hampton with a great penalty save in that first 10 minutes, and you're thinking that if that isn't a wake up, then...
It's a great point, Steph, about the penalty, because I thought when Anna saved it, and let's face it, easily one of the worst penalties I've ever seen.
Yeah.
From a player of her calibre. I couldn't believe how poor the penalty was. But then Chelsea didn't galvanise, like you say. And then even when Baltimore scored, again, they didn't...
Normally they kick on,
just
don't
kick
they?
on, because, Canyarid, nothing. You know what I mean? Didn't see. I thought
Ramirez,
nothing. I thought they dealt with her really well. You could see that they like the physical. They like the physical. The Mappy Leon and was it Paredes?
Yeah, I really like Mappy Leon. I think she's really good.
Her and Paredes, they were really good with the way that they were being aggressive with Myra, because that's how Myra wants to play, but she couldn't get on it enough. She couldn't get to really unleash herself on them. And then, again, when it was 2-1, I'm thinking, okay, now you see this out, Chelsea. But then to go 3-1, 4-1, it felt to see the WSL, like, let's say champions. I think they got
outplayed again. That's as simple as it is.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think even like that, the penalty, I was actually watching, I was thinking, it comes from a corner. Paredes goes around the back. Nobody's picking her up. It's a handball. It's a pen. She scores exactly the same goal halfway through the second half to take it to 3-1. Yeah. And that's a big goal. That is when you've just got a goal back and they score 2 minutes later. And I think, how do you not in the game as a player or as a coaching staff kind of see that coming? Because it was clear what they were trying to do. They were putting the ball in deep and hoping that she gets on the end of it, and she does. And I don't know. I just think in that in-game management is something that Chelsea lacked, but also I think what you're saying in terms of individuals just didn't perform, or Barca didn't let them perform.
But Chelsea put a sub on. Was it Gertma? She came on.
Yeah, Gertma for Bjorn.
At the corner.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. No one does that.
Unless you're putting her on as an extra centre-half. I don't think anybody would want to do that. Unless you're throwing an extra body who's good in the air, but you don't take one of your main defenders out, I don't think.
Not at that particular time. I think that if I'm Chelsea, I'm a little bit worried about the fact that, of course, people can mention our league and the competitive nature of our league, and because Chelsea is so good, and then they play against Barcelona, who, let's face it, we're not saying that their league is like a super strong. Same with Lyon. But their top teams, them two top teams, Lyon and Barcelona, really gave us, our teams like Chelsea and Arsenal, a real lesson, man. It was a lesson in experience and quality that we really have to look at. Both teams have to look at.
They're able to turn up when it matters. I think they peak at the right times. I feel as though we mentioned it last week on the pod, like in terms of Chelsea and their performances, where we worried about them. And obviously in the WSL, we're probably not worried about them because they can get by not playing at their full potential. But like with Arsenal, you have to be at the top of your game when you're against these teams, because they have so many quality players that can hurt you. And
Wendy Renard weren't even playing.
I know.
Wendy Renard weren't playing, and
what a legend, by the way.
Do you think she's going to be there for the second leg?
Probably.
Because
she'll just turn up.
Can you imagine, once they can get someone like Wendy Renard back as well? Yeah. For the set pieces. I don't know who's going to deal with her from
honestly, I've got nightmares about her from 2013 in Sweden for England. Honestly, we couldn't stop her. There was about 3 of us marking her, and she's still scoring against us. And I'm just like, we're going out.
What is it? The movement, the power? What is it? Oh, the accuracy of the ball, Steph?
Just accuracy, I think. I think that's my thing. Obviously, she's got height, but you've still got to guide it in a certain way. And everything that she used to touch was brilliant. But even when we were speaking about strength of depth for Barcelona, you've got the likes of Rolfo coming off the bench, Engen. Yeah. It's just, but Pina. Yeah.
2 goals and assists. The thing, like I say, you look at that team and everyone who comes on, they just lock straight into what they're doing. Pina is one of the top goal scorers in the Champions League. I don't think she's started too many games.
No. And they just know how to use her. And you can see there's just a certain, like, when she comes on, Barca just go up another level because of the way that she plays. She knows she can get the ball, she can play it, she can dribble inside, she can get at the right back. And I think Chelsea really struggled in that respect.
I think what's going to need to happen is, because even watching Millie tried to dribble out. You know what I mean? That's just not, that for her experience and the player that she is, especially the way that Barcelona were playing, how they were just like on you like piranha fish. You know, I couldn't believe that Millie done that, and then obviously that they got the goal from it. But when it went from 2-1, I was thinking, right, they need to just lock it up now. Then it went 3-1, then it went 4-1, and it felt like, oh my gosh, Chelsea, do not let any more goals in.
And yeah, exactly, because to take them back to Stamford Bridge, of course, yeah, they did it to Manchester City a few weeks ago, but ultimately this is a different side. Yeah. This is a different competition. And I think as well at the end of the game, you're kind of seeing people having a go at each other, which is good in a respect, but also you can't I just feel as though sometimes you can't let people see how you really feel. It has to be done in the dressing room.
Because that looked horrible. It looked really, because Lucy looked very animated, didn't she?
Yeah. And I could understand, because obviously she's moved from Barcelona to Chelsea, but I think
embarrassing for her.
Maybe there's a time and a place to do that. And
maybe in the dressing room. Maybe in the dressing room.
Yeah, exactly.
Because remember, there's a whole another leg to go. So, you know, to see that, now people can look at that dressing room and say, oh, Lucy was angry, or this one was angry, or that one was angry. So I wonder what it's going to be like all week. And then
I think that's the standards that she sets, Ian. And I think that's like impressive, and that's why she's been so successful for what she's done. But I'm presuming it probably hurts a little bit when you've moved from one team that you've just played to try and win with another team, and potentially that might not happen, but it's going to take a big turnaround for them to get through to the final. That's for sure.
Is LJ going to be playing? Lauren James going to be in the next one?
I don't think so. It sounds as though she's got a bit of a bad hamstring injury, which by all accounts, which is a big miss. But I think if we're talking about squad strength, I can't really think that Chelsea have got too many complaints, to be honest.
No. I know that you can't say, well, you know what I mean? Well, you need to do more in the market. You know, Chelsea are doing everything. Yeah, Chelsea are doing everything in the market. And that's the thing is as well, Steph, it's a good point you mentioned, because let's face it, Chelsea, the way that they romp this league, you know, they're built for Champions League. And I know they've had some injuries to some players that have come in, but you can't go out of it. Well, I can't say you can't go out of it, but you can't perform in the first leg of a semi-final that poorly for a team that has literally walked your own league, and you go out and you play that poorly, and you know that naively. To be honest, I think they'll be very disappointed with that. That's maybe why we saw all the animated chats at the end in that circle. But
they have enough in their squad to be able to do something if they needed to. And like Wrighton's coming back. We've always spoke about Kadidiatou, your girl, Baltimore scored
a beautiful goal. So pleased for her.
I can't believe she's actually that high up in that goal, which is crazy as a left back. Yeah. But I think there's no reason why they can't. They've just got to perform on the night. But I think maybe that fourth goal is a bit of a killer.
I think so. But maybe that was Baltimore's natural progression going forward. So I don't know. You know something? I just felt for both teams, because Arsenal I was very disappointed with, but Chelsea I was more shocked with. I was more shocked with Chelsea.
Definitely. You think it'll be a more competitive game?
Yeah, I did, yeah. And so,
without a doubt.
But like, again, Arsenal are going there with only a goal deficit. You know what I mean? Maybe not a lot of confidence, especially the way they played. I don't know if Renee's going to change too many things, because I don't expect her to all of a sudden throw Kyra in now, because like it's the second leg and we need something, or throw Kafaji in. So you're probably looking at the same team, whereas I thought that she actually took Beth, and I know we spoke about Arsenal, I thought she took Beth off just when she started to get a little bit of momentum.
I know, because she had that header, didn't she, in the second half?
Which was very surprised she missed that, Steph, because that is Beth Mead. So again, she'd probably start with a similar team, not too many changes. So hopefully they can take the chances. But Chelsea, they've just got to come out, you know, and just get the guns blazing and go. Bam. You know, either
they've got to do something different, don't they?
Like lose 6-0 or beat them. You know what I mean? Beat them 4-0. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Steph, predictions.
Come on then.
So should we say what the scores are at the moment?
Yeah. You can do it.
All right, then. So, Ian, 77 points.
Woo!
Yeah. You're only clapping because you know you've got loads more, Steph.
I've just seen the group text there, so I'm actually
Steph
buzzing.
Houghton, 93.
We are flying. We helped each other last time, though.
Yeah, but no, I think that you copied me on a couple, Steph, so it kept you in front of me.
I know, but you doubted my Manchester United draw against West Ham.
That was just such a bad,
you did?
bad prediction from me. Right, so we got tomorrow Chelsea versus Crystal Palace.
I'm gonna go 3-0 Chelsea.
I'm gonna go 4-0.
4-0.
4-0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4-0 Chelsea. Liverpool, Tottenham.
Your turn. You go first.
You know something? Liverpool 2-1. I should have said 2-0, but
I'll go 2-0 then if you went
see,
to.
that's what's happening. That's why you're in front of me. You're taking all my when I'm apprehensive and I say it out loud, which because I'm so stupid. And then you take it.
No, you're not stupid.
Well, you take it. And now if it's 2-0, I'm going to be devastated. Right. So what you got next? Crystal Palace, West Ham.
I'm going to go West Ham 2-1.
I'm going to go West Ham 2-0.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're doing.
No. I'm not saying it out loud anymore. Everton, Brighton. I'm going to go.
Your go.
Okay. Brighton 2-1. I know what you're going to say, so.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Wow, you've gone for a draw.
Yeah.
I should have went for one of these as a draw, but I can't see Liverpool and Tottenham drawing. I can't see Palace and West Ham drawing. If I could see a draw, it would have been Everton and Brighton.
You can change.
Nope.
As long as we have evidence of it that you change.
No. I'm not going to change. So what are you thinking? Leicester City, Manchester City. You must.
I have to. I know I was gutted about our result at the weekend, but I have to say my team. So I'm going to go 2-1 Manchester City. I'm
going to go 3-0 Manchester City.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm going to go 3-0 Manchester City. So that's it. So that's the predictions.
Yeah.
So what was I going to say? We was going to ask people to send in their predictions, and then we can, like, if they get them better than us, there or something. All right, we'll
give a little bit of a shout out. Yeah.
Yeah. See if you could, because I want to find out if Steph is really this much better than me, or is it luck? And you got to let me know if it's luck for you as well, so I don't feel like I'm on my own. Because I think mine's just
send
luck.
in your predictions, guys, and just realise that you just need to watch the games.
I do watch the game. I'm just so useless at predictions.
No, you just keep going with your heart instead of just being logical.
I'm not going to change.
All right, never change.
Thanks, Steph. So, Steph, I'll see you soon.
Yep, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, I'll see you next week. Have a good one. And we'll
see you later, guys.
We'll speak after these.
Bye.